Hey guys, you're watching Boondockin' with Dennis. Mustang Island, Port Aransas, Texas. Just pulled off Highway 361, taking Beach Access Road 1, right down to the Gulf of Mexico. I got the camera mounted. Look at that flag. That means there's a pretty good wind blowing. And that's pretty much every time we come to Port Aransas. Same for Rockport. I'll complain about the wind until that wind stops and the heat gets here. Then we're going to wish we had some wind. I could see some sand blowing. And they've been experiencing some coastal flooding here. That usually happens when there's a moon phase or if there's a big storm out in the Gulf somewhere. You can see the sand is wet all the way up here. I would not be parking in that salt water. I guess everyone's doing it, but I wouldn't be doing it. That's a lot of corrosion on your vehicle. I try not to run through any salt water. Just being near it is bad enough for me. You're allowed to drive on the beach here in Port Aransas. 15 miles an hour speed limit. And it's considered a road. It is policed. Speed limit is enforced. Even where I'm driving right now, the tide was all the way up here. You can see by how wet the sand is. We haven't had any rain. See how dry it is on the left there, right by the dunes? That's dry enough to blow from the wind. And I noticed that when we were at, what was it? Michael Ellis Park the other day. The beach there was a smaller beach. It was really sloppy like this. People are out though. You got the kite going. That's always good. I just thought we'd take a little cruise. A little Saturday cruise. Head on down to the South Jetty and maybe cut through the town a little bit. Man, that water came up really high. I was going to park here tonight. This is in effect until 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, it says. So I don't know if I want to park on the beach tonight. I'd hate to wake up underwater. That'd be horrible. All right, let's get a dad joke out of the way. You ready? What does a cow read every day? What does a cow read every day? Well, that's an easy one. A moose paper. That's me crumpling up the dad joke calendar. That actually isn't bad. That's a solid dad joke. Thank you, Todd. I was checking in with my buddy Mike this morning. Mike is sending me some MRE components. I guess he went through some rations and he's got extras of some things that he's sending. So thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it. I still have to get up to Amarillo to visit my friend Thelma. She's holding rations for me up there, MREs. I see lots of butts. Put some clothes on. Dress your kids. Can't believe people wear bathing suits to the beach. I can't believe parents let their teenage kids wear thongs. I wonder when I got this old. Look at that slop. That wind, a day of wind will take care of all that, but I was watching some videos this morning from Zeus the King German Shepherd. They don't put out a whole lot of videos, and it's mostly shorts and several shorter videos, like a few minutes, but that's a good channel, guys. Check it out. The link is in the description of this video. Zeus the King German Shepherd. They're up in the mountains and have a beautiful German Shepherd with a great personality. I also watched Antiquing Adventures. That's what I was watching this morning. Watched some of her videos. Give that channel a shot, guys, because it's not just, it's very little of what I think of as an antique, but there's a lot of stuff she shows. Her name's Jennifer. There's a lot of stuff she shows that, I grew up with. I'm 60, and there's a lot of things I grew up with. This morning, her newest one was about things you would find in a diner. And in Holmes, Pennsylvania, there is the Highland Diner. But you could ask anyone where the Highland Diner was, and no one would know where the Highland Diner was. It was a traditional diner, like the old silver diner that kind of looked like a train car. And she gives you the history of that. It's really interesting. But we and everyone else in town called the Highland Diner the High Hun, because no matter who worked there, when you walked in, whoever was working the front would say, "Hi, hun." And I don't even think they meant it as like an ongoing joke or anything. That's just, So it was always, "Hi, hun." And then every once in a while you'd go in and someone wouldn't say, "Hi, hun." You'd be like, "Aw." So you'd have to give them a "Hi, hun," I was always amazed at the old diners. And what's the name of the famous diner in Philadelphia? We used to go there at like 3 a.m. when we were young, drunk off our butts. And the Passyunk Diner? I remember it was on Passyunk. Was it the Passyunk Diner? Any of you Philly people out there? Brad? You could go into a diner, a good diner. They would have 200 things on their menu, and no matter what you ordered, it was out to you in like 5 minutes, and it was really good. I don't know how they did it, but diners are amazing, especially for breakfast food. But you could go in and get spaghetti. You could go in and get a steak. You could go in and get liver and onions. You could, whatever you wanted, they had. Basically, a diner had everything but pizza. And that's because there were so many pizza places every place else. But, they had the counter, the chrome stools with the red top on them. Each table had one of those jukeboxes with the flip page things on it. It was, it was a good time, good memories. And watching Jennifer's video today really brought me back to some of those memories from the corners of my mind. You guys know my memory's not the best, so every once in a while I get a good one. It's right up the street from my friend Lori's house as well, so... and I remember her mom and dad absolutely loved it. Her mom thought I was the greatest person in the world because I would come over every 6 months and rotate her dining room carpet so it would wear even. Because I would show up with one of my buddies, and we'd move the dining room set, and we didn't have to move any of her dining room cabinets or anything like that. They weren't on the rug hardwood floors, but we could move the heavy chairs and the table. And they were older. They were still in great shape, but it was... And then when she got older, she had to stop coming because apparently she would clean for 3 days before we got there, and it got to be too much for her. See how dry the sand is, guys? And you could tell. I mean, it went all the way up to the dunes at the last high tide. I haven't checked the tide chart tonight, but I will. And I was going to spend a few nights here. And I know of places where it won't go all the way up, and you might get a little wet, but I don't know. Seems like whenever I know there's going to be a higher tide than usual, I wake up a lot and I look to see if I'm floating away and all that kind of fun stuff. Well, I got another joke from the dad calendar. People out walking. Hello, people. Hope you're enjoying your walk. Why don't ghosts like the rain? Why don't ghosts like the rain? Because it dampens their spirits. Ooh. Remember what I said about not liking thongs? That young lady just changed my mind. I approve. That reminds me, I need to pick up some dental floss. Dental flossed with a T on the end. Yeah, I'm from Philadelphia. We say flossed. Give me the dental flossed. We say crick. It's water that's smaller than a river. It's a crick. I don't know what else we say. We say aunt. That's your aunt. Your mom's sister is an aunt. It's not an aunt. It's an aunt. Not a whole lot of RV vehicles. Some, but not a whole lot like there usually is. You usually can see lines of them, which is probably a smart thing. Getting your truck stuck out of the water. It's funny because I've been watching that on Facebook. They have a group called 361 Rescue. You can leave a message on the group if you get stuck. Take a photo of your vehicle, show them what you got, how you're stuck, and give them an exact location where you're at. Don't do something stupid like say I'm stuck on the beach, because that kind of covers from Louisiana to Mexico. And someone will come help you. They get a kick out of it. They have little races. Hey, dude, put some clothes on with your flat abs. No one wants to see that mess. Women like a big round belly. Did you see his hair blowing in the wind? He doesn't know that women love a bald head, especially when you can get that 3 or 4 lumps right at the back of your head where it meets your neck. Ugh. You'll be fighting the women off with a stick. Back to the beach. By the way, these videos are from my own entertainment. Boy, it was so flooded you couldn't even get to the porta potty last night. That's just not a good thing. It really is amazing to me because I don't know why this is flooded. I don't know about any storms out in the Gulf. And I real quick did a internet search just real quick to see why it's flooded. And all I could find was reports saying, yes, the coast is flooded, but not because of. And I watched 2 local weather channels, and they both mentioned coastal flooding, but they didn't say why, whether it's a moon phase or, I don't see anything on radar like big storms out in the Gulf. So it's a mystery. I'm having trouble finding information on the internet lately without doing extensive searches. It just seemed before you could just do a quick search and get the answer from 5 different sources. And now it's just like, they take you to all these sites that aren't even having anything to do with what you just asked. Siri's no help. Alexa's no help. I wonder if Siri and Alexa get along, or do they just hate each other? I don't know. I'm going to have to ask that question someday. There's the Horace Caldwell Pier. Beach Road, right where Shorty's is, on Allister Avenue, will bring you right down to the pier. I've mentioned this before. I just think it's so cool that you can get on a bus anywhere in Corpus Christi, and with a couple transfers, you can wind up, the bus literally comes right down here on the beach. There's a bus stop at the pier. So for people without a vehicle, or especially younger people, like, sometimes there's just like a 2-hour ferry line. The bus doesn't wait in the ferry line. It goes right to the front of the line and gets on. So that's always a consideration. Yeah, the loose sand is blowing. I'm probably going to stay here tonight. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Good thing I can get by on my looks. Women go crazy for me. You're fat, you're bald, you live in your truck, you have no health insurance, you're the guy for me. Oh, don't back up and hit me, sir. Thank you. Surfboards. The wind isn't crazy strong. I mean, it's a pretty good breeze, but it's not anything special that would be blowing water ashore, but apparently it is. If they're going to have flooding tonight, that might make me reconsider my I haven't slept at Walmart streak. So I haven't slept at Walmart in 3 weeks and 2 days. Huh? Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, the wind is 15 miles an hour with gusts up to 21 miles an hour. And it is coming directly out of the east, which would be blowing the water up on the shore here. But we've had stronger winds than that in Rockport all week long. This is another spot where it seems like most of the beach, it has come up to the dunes. It's a good thing the dunes are there. Good Lord knows what he was doing when he invented sand dunes, huh? Who knew? And they're taking out my favorite part of the dunes was taken out to build those dormitories. Pave paradise, put up a parking lot. Dennis, you can't sing. I can sing. I just can't sing well. Well, why do golfers wear 2 pairs of pants? Why do golfers wear 2 pairs of pants? In case they get a hole in one. The good news is, that's the end of the dad jokes for this ride. Or else I'd have to stop the truck and get the calendar, and that would defeat the whole purpose of the ride. I think we should circle back and drive by that young lady with the thong again, and then we had the runner for the ladies, and just trying to keep everyone happy here. No ships are coming at the moment. I did look on Vessel Finder, and there was nothing coming in either direction. We're at the South Jetty, the Corpus Christi ship channel. We were at the port of Corpus Christi a few days ago. We got to see a ship going under the bridge, the Old Harbor Bridge, which will be replaced. And I was just wondering how drivable it is down here. But yeah, all this flooded. Wow, way over here. I've seen it flood here. I just didn't know it came up this high. That must have really been something. I'm going to have to check the tide chart and see when the next high tide is here. Yeah, this is all drivable. I wonder how close I can get to the water. There is a slope right down by the water on the jetty. Yeah, it's just a little bit mush here, just a little bit. So it really must have flooded in this area. They said the sun was going to be out today. I don't see the sun anywhere. If I've seen the sun lately, I'm watching someone else's videos. But we're still going to get the heat and the humidity. Someone had asked me about the wound on my leg, and it looked good. Usually in the morning, I take the bandage off and hit it with alcohol. And then while I'm cooking, I kind of let it just air out for an hour or two. And then I put some Neosporin on it, and I put a gauze pad on it, and I'm using my sock to kind of hold it in place. But it doesn't look infected. It's probably 4 inches around. And, yeah, doesn't look bad. But I do know if I ever get another one of those, I'll pop it right away. Yeah, it's not bad down here. Very drivable. Not a whole lot of people fishing. I think the wind is a discouragement to people fishing. I notice a lot lately. There's someone behind me, and I was kind of in their way. If you're wondering what that little burst of speed was. I think we'll get off the beach and just make a quick drive through town. Call it a day. I remember once I was out with my friend Fritz and his wife Kathy. We were down in Delaware visiting my Nana and her brother, my great uncle Bill. And we visited them, and we just found this beach where there was no one at. Like this huge beach, like about the size of a football field. And it was beautiful. The water there in Chesapeake Bay was amazing. And I remember just spending a few hours there, just running around. I think we had a football and a frisbee. My friend Fritz had one of those frisbees with lights on it. So it was cool at night. You could play frisbee. And very, very few times would you get smacked in the head with that frisbee. The first time I ever saw the Milky Way, I was up in Upper Black Eddy, and Fritz and Kathy had a pool, and they would shut all the lights out, and you're just laying with your head back up in the pool floating, and they live kind of in a rural area, and man, you could just see the Milky Way just like you would see in like astronomy photos. And that's the first time I was ever in an area with no light like that. It was really cool. They lived right by an area called Ringing Rocks. It's probably a state park. And I believe Ringing Rocks was a glacier deposit of boulders. And they were stacked on each other. And in certain areas, you could take a rock, or some people brought their own hammers. And you could hit a rock and it would ring. And some of them, it would ring like a reaction down the whole field. That was probably the size of 2 football fields. And if we were young and in our 20s, and you'd run on the rocks and big boulders, and at the end you could follow a little wooden trail, a little trail through the woods, and it would take you to a small waterfalls. It was absolutely gorgeous. As I love the beach, but also sometimes I just miss being in the woods, and then being along the coast here. Every so often I'm like, I need to go see a mountain, or at least go to hill country, Things are very flat here. And you're almost up in San Antonio, 160 miles away before you start to get some hills, So this is Cotter Avenue. And when we were reading that historical marker about the Tarpon Inn, one of the owners there was named Cotter. So I'm sure this road is named after him. And if you take this straight, it'll bring you right to the ferry. If you exit the ferry and go straight, it'll bring you right down this road, right to the South Jetty. And I think we're going to go up and make a left on Allister here. They're building something, and they've had those help wanted signs up for a while. But I'm sure it's one of those, we're going to be opening in 4 months, and people are like, yeah, I need a job today. The camera's kind of tilted. There's Tortugas. That's my favorite place in Port Aransas. I like Coach's too, especially for breakfast. There's a lot of good restaurants here, just for a coastal town. I like coming over here in the winter. I mean, it's wide open. There's hardly anybody here. The beaches are more wide open. And I need to take advantage of that more in the future. There's a salty dog. If you've never come to Port Aransas, I recommend it. If you like the beach, sometimes I see in like Facebook groups, I'm bringing my 2 teenagers and my husband to Port Aransas. None of them really like the beach. Well, why are you coming here? So it's like, do they hunt? Do they fish? Do they enjoy looking at birds? Do they swim? Do they like museums? There's some small museums here. You can take a day trip to Rockport. You can take a day trip to Corpus and go on to Lexington or the Texas State Aquarium. Art museums. What do they like? And usually the teenagers like to stay inside and play video games all day. And when you don't need to go on vacation for that. Just leave them at home. Put some frozen pizzas in the freezer. Make sure the microwave works and set them free. Get them a couple bottles of Big Red. They'll be fine. And tell your husband Port Aransas has TV. We're going to make a left down Avenue G. That'll take us back down to the beach. Come on, little blinking arrow. Take me down to the beach, buddy. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all. It's one of those longer Saturday drives. There's the big shark. They got 2 of them here in Port Aransas, those big shark that eat tourist things. Thanks for riding along today, guys. Thanks for watching. Seriously, it's Saturday morning. Go do something else.